Brendan Fraser has finally made his epic big screen comeback, and his fans are both excited and worried. They just can't ignore the actor's new look, as it's a far cry from the heartthrob he used to be. But why did Fraser vanish from Hollywood in the first place? And how does he feel about his return? Few people know that the actor has actually gone through hell. It all started when he was still an action comedy star. Brendan always performed his own stunts, but this got him into a lot of accidents on set. For example, during one of the tricks he performed in George of the Jungle, Brendan broke a bone. And it took guts for him to agree to film some scenes, like when he was hoisted 60 feet in the air on a crane. Only a thin nylon cable protected the actor from falling to the ground. But that wasn't a big deal compared to what Brendan experienced on the set of The Mummy. He barely survived filming.
I almost gave my life at one point during a hanging sequence. I was on a platform with a rope around my neck and
the rope got too tight and the actor started choking for real. The next thing Brendan remembered was waking up to the emergency crew repeatedly saying his name. He quickly realized that the accident was his own fault. It turned out that he went overboard to make the scene look as believable as possible. But it's always been in Brendan's nature to work hard and to do his best on set. And he didn't even mind when others turned this accident into a joke.
"You've just joined the club with Mel Gibson. He got choked out on Braveheart, too."
Eventually, all the stunts and accidents took a serious toll on Brendan's health. By the time he was 40, the actor had his vocal cords repaired, a partial knee replacement, and spinal surgery. Fraser was in and out of hospitals for a whole 7 years. It was only when he was working on the third Mummy film in China that he realized he was no longer coping with the workload. "I believe I probably was trying too hard in a way that's destructive." His body had to be put together with tape and ice as if he was building an exoskeleton for himself every single day. But he still didn't want to stop or change his ways. As soon as he healed a bit, he'd take the next role. Because Brendan couldn't imagine his life without acting, and his fan support fueled him. People loved his kind, brave, albeit slightly naive characters. And Fraser's movies grossed immense sums in the box office. For example, he earned $40 million for playing Rick O'Connell in the Mummy franchise. So maybe Brendan thought that all his health troubles were worth it. But the actor's struggles weren't just physical. Fraser's worst nightmare severely shook his mental health. In 2003, Brendan attended a luncheon where he met Philip Berk, a former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. And that fateful meeting almost broke Fraser. The executive made unsolicited advances towards the actor. His left hand reaches around, grabs my cheek, and one of his fingers touches me in the taint. The incident humiliated Brendan and he was paralyzed with fear. He felt like a little boy and wanted to cry. For a long time, Fraser couldn't stand the thought of telling someone else about this incident.
Something that took him almost 15 years to talk about.
Brendan finally opened up in 2018, inspired by the Me Too movement. The actor hoped that he'd be able to punish his offender, but Berk claimed that he only pinched the actor as a joke. The experience haunted the actor for years. "I was blaming myself and I was miserable." It made him realize that most people saw him as nothing but a himbo, an attractive man who'd flaunt his abs whenever he got a chance. The actor even admitted that when he looked at his photos as George of the Jungle, he saw himself as a walking steak. Brendan didn't want to be typecast anymore. He also physically couldn't play another tough guy in an action movie. His deteriorating health finally took its toll. Fraser was no longer capable of doing his own stunts or training like he used to. So gradually he lost muscle and gained weight. His changing appearance no longer ensured box office success. So Brendan was getting fewer and fewer roles. He assumed that the encounter with Berk was one of the reasons why Hollywood dropped him. Fraser felt reclusive, as if no one needed him anymore. And it seemed like his whole life was slipping away. Brendan's popularity faded until he disappeared from the screens and headlines completely. At first, his fans questioned where he'd gone. Some people said that he wasn't that good of an actor or chose his roles poorly. After a while, it seemed like everyone just forgot about him. Of course, it broke Brendan's heart that he couldn't do what he loved the most. But however upsetting or tough his experiences have been, they made him who he is today. As a result, Brendan became a different person, better, stronger, and more resilient than ever. A few years ago, he felt that he was finally ready to brush off all the negativity and return to acting.
A lot can happen, and it's important to unburden yourself of the things you just don't need anymore.
But it wasn't as easy as he thought. While Fraser was absent from the limelight, the entertainment industry transformed too. Brendan suddenly felt like George of the Jungle or Encino Man, a guy who emerges into the world he knows nothing about.
I think I might be sick, a little anxious.
It was so hard to adjust that the actor actually thought that he wouldn't be able to do it. But eventually he managed to succeed with the help of his fans who still love him after all these years. And they were happy to finally see him back.
There are so many people out there who love you, and we're rooting for you, and we can't wait to see what you do next.
The internet really is full of supportive comments. I've never wanted to see a successful comeback more than I do his. I cannot express how much love I have for this man. His roles in the superhero series Doom Patrol and the crime thriller No Sudden Move were the beginning of the so-called Renaissance, and his new film is set to be even more successful. It's Darren Aronofsky's The Whale, where Brendan plays a 600-pound man trying to reconnect with his daughter. This role is the real reason the actor has gained so much weight recently. Despite the public opinion that he let himself go, he was only preparing for the role. Working on this film was a very unusual experience for Brendan. This is certainly far removed from anything I've ever done. But he was glad to be part of it because he's sure that the film will make a lasting impression. The actor's fans already agree. After a first look at his unbelievable transformation in The Whale, they already say that the movie has Oscar potential. Brendan Fraser can start preparing a lot of variations of his speech. Brendan Fraser's Oscar campaign starts now. His supporters are excited to see him shine on the big screen again. This time not as another himbo with silly acts, but as a serious dramatic actor who is yet to demonstrate the range of his talent. After all he's been through, this incredible support means a lot to Brendan.
But I do know that we all certainly have stories, no matter what walk of life we find ourselves in.
His story shows us that we should never judge people for the way they look like, because we never know what someone is going through.